guys, it's BiggestAGFanEVer here, back again, and today I'm going to be tier ranking all of the American Girl historical dolls. If you didn't see, yesterday I tier ranked all of the Girl of the Year dolls from American Girl, so today I decided to tier rank all of the historical dolls. The categories are the same, so the best category is outstanding in every way, then overall a good doll, meh, could have been better, needs improvement, and something went wrong here. And I have all 22 historical dolls here and their best friends. So before we get started, I just want to say that I do not rank these dolls just based on their looks. I rank them based on the pieces in their collection, their looks, and their story. If I were to only rank them on looks, the ranking would be a lot different. So let's go ahead and start ranking them. So right off the bat, we have Addie Walker. I think that her story is really important and it definitely is a must read from American Girl. I also really like her collection a lot as well, and I think that the doll is really pretty. So I'm going to have to put Addie in outstanding in every way. I think that she is definitely a staple American Girl character, and I really wish that they would make more items for her collection again. Next is Caroline Abbott, and I think that her story is pretty good. It has to do with the War of 1812. She did have a pretty small collection since she was retired relatively quickly, but I feel like the items in her collection were really cute and definitely a lot of pieces that people really still enjoy today, such as her parlor. So I'm going to have to say that she is overall a good doll. Next is Cecile Ray. She is also retired as well, and she was retired relatively quickly after she came out. Since her and Marie Grace were both released together, and it's not really clear exactly which one is the best friend, both of their collections were pretty small because of this. I also feel like their stories were okay. So I'm going to put her in meh, could have been better. Next is Courtney Moore. She is the newest historical doll to be released from American Girl. I really enjoyed her book a lot when I read it, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. I also think that she has a really good collection as well. I'm going to put her in overall a good doll. Next up is Elizabeth Cole. She is the best friend to Felicity. I felt like she was kind of a minor character in Felicity's life. I mean, I liked her story a lot, but I don't know. I do really like her collection though, a lot. I think that a lot of her pieces are even prettier than Elizabeth, but I'm going to have to put her in meh, could have been better. Next is Emily Bennett. She is the best friend of Molly McIntyre. Even though Emily was released many years after Molly came out, I felt like she was a really good complement to Molly and her collection. I think that her story is really good and it brings an interesting perspective to World War II. A lot of the items in her collection, in my opinion, are kind of small and unmemorable, but I think that overall she is a good doll. Next is Felicity Merriman, and I think that her stories are really interesting as well. I'm super interested in the Revolutionary War, and I think that Felicity's story did a great job at showing different aspects of the Revolutionary War, so I'm going to put her in overall a good doll. Next is Ivy Ling, and when Ivy came out, I was pretty indifferent to her, but over the years, I've really fallen in love with Ivy. I think that Ivy is such a unique doll, and I really enjoyed her story as well. I love how American Girl really demonstrated in her story that she was struggling between her Chinese traditions and American traditions, but I do still have to put her in outstanding in every way, and I think that she is a doll that everybody should get in their collection if they want her. Next is Josephine Montoya, and I read her books quite a while ago, and I remember when I read them, I really fell in love with Josefina. Although looking back now, I kind of feel like parts of her story were not really memorable, and although the items in her collection are pretty good and I appreciate her, I just think that they could have done better with her. Next is Julie Albright, and Julie's story has to deal with feminism as well, and the fact that she was not allowed to be on the boys' basketball team. Her story also has to deal with a child of divorce, and I feel like her collection is overall good. She's had a lot of different items throughout the year that are pretty unique. I'm going to put her in overall a good doll. Next is Kaya. She is the first and only Native American doll that American Girl has ever come out with. I think it's really important that American Girl did include her story stay in the historical lineup. I've also been super interested in her collection as well. I think that it's just so different from any doll that American Girl has ever done, and I really appreciate that. So I'm going to put her in outstanding in every way. Up next is Kirsten Larson. Kirsten's stories showcase the pioneer lifestyle. Growing up, I was really obsessed with Little House on the Prairie, so Kirsten definitely fit in. I really enjoyed Kirsten's stories when I read them, and I think that her collection is really good as well. I feel like she is a super underrated doll, and I think that people need to give her more love, so I'm going to put her in outstanding in every way. Up next is Kit Kittredge, and I really love her story. I remember I got to see her movie when it was released in the movie theater, and I really fell in love with her story after that. I think that she's also a pretty unique looking doll. I don't think that American Girl's really done any dolls like her since then, and I really love her collection as well. You should definitely read Kit's stories if you haven't read them as well. I promise you, you won't be disappointed by them. Next is Marie Grace Gardner, and similarly to Cecile, I feel like since they retired her so quickly, she didn't really get the full collection that she deserved, so I'm also going to put her in meh, could have been better. Next is Mary Ellen Larkin, and a lot of people just look at her as a basic white doll, but honestly, if you haven't read her stories, you definitely should. Mary Ellen actually had polio when the polio epidemic was going on, so her legs and lungs are weaker than most children. And I feel like since American Girl really likes Mary Ellen, they've given her a really nice collection. So I have to say that overall she is a really good doll. Next is Melody Ellison, and I finished reading Melody's books earlier this year, and I really enjoyed them. I felt like her story was really important and one that people should definitely read if you've never read American Girl books before. I also think that the items in her collection correspond really well to her story as well, but I don't think that she is outstanding in every way. I think that there are dolls better than her, so I'm going to put her in overall a good doll. Next is Molly McIntyre, and I'm probably going to be very biased here, but I love Molly so much. I've read Molly's books so many times, probably too many times to count, and I just love her story. I love all of her items, and since she was around for so long, her collection has a lot of items. So I'm just going to put her in outstanding in every way because I really love Molly. Next is Nenea Mitchell, and when Nenea came out, I was worried that she was just going to be a copycat of Molly, but now looking at it, I don't think that Nenea is anything like Molly. I really enjoy Nenea's collection and her stories as well, so I'm going to put her in overall a good doll because I don't think that she is the best doll that they've come out with, but I do think that she is a really good doll. Next is Nellie OMalley. She is the best friend to Samantha Parkinson, and I feel like Nellie is such an underrated doll. Her story is really interesting, and I feel like overall she's a really good doll that people need to give more love to. Up next is Rebecca Rubin. Her story has to deal with being Jewish and an immigrant in New York in the early 1900s. I feel like her story is also one that is super underrated, and I feel like not a lot of people talk about Rebecca as being an amazing doll. And I feel like her collection and her story are things that people should look at more. So I'm going to have to put her in overall a good doll. Next is Ruthie Smithens, and out of all these dolls here, I feel like Ruthie's collection and stories are not the best. The only thing Ruthie is really known for is being Kit's rich best friend, and I feel like she could have played a bigger part in Kit's story. So personally, out of all these dolls, I feel like Ruthie's collection and story is the only one that really needs improvement the most, so that's why I'm going to put her there. And then finally, the last doll is Samantha Parkinson, and Samantha's story is okay. She's basically just a rich orphan, and although she has a really nice collection, I feel like they could have did more with her story, so I'm going to put her in meh, could have been better. So this is my finished tier rank list, and looking at it, I feel pretty confident in where I listed all of these dolls at, and none of them made it into the something went wrong here category, and a majority of them are in the top 2 categories, and that is because I feel like American Girl really does a lot of hard work when it comes to developing a historical doll. Obviously, their stories and collections have to be historically accurate, so it does take longer to plan them than it does to plan a Girl of the Year doll, and they do come out less frequently than a Girl of the Year doll does. So I feel like the historical dolls overall are better in my opinion than the Girl of the Year dolls are. So yeah, I guess that is it for this video. If you guys are interested in trying this, I will leave a link down in the description box below where you can rank the dolls in whatever order you want. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon so you'll be notified every single time that I upload. Also be sure to comment down below if my ranking matches up with your ranking, but remember, please don't leave any hate comments about my opinions. And be sure to head on over to my Instagram. It is _BiggestAGFanEVer_ to see some behind the scenes of my channel as well as some cute photos of my dolls. And I will see you all tomorrow in the next video. Bye bye!